What's up guys, welcome to Gamers No Skill. I'm Ian McGrath and today I'm going to be building my first gaming PC. So to get right into the parts list of this build, I'm going to be starting with a Ryzen 5 1600. Partially because I didn't want this one to be, this is probably one of the first components you would have had to upgrade when it comes to needing to be upgraded. So I just went ahead and bumped up to the CPU because I just knew it was probably gonna get switched out first. And for the motherboard, I chose the AsRock B450M HDV, and this will be microform. I chose this because I wasn't completely sure how any of the bigger motherboards were going to fit into this case, which you'll see in a second. Actually, it ended up not mattering, and the microform just ended up being smaller, and he's not going to be able to clock it. So this is the Radeon RX 570 for the graphics card. I was able to actually snag this off the shelves before the massive price skyrocket in January, but yeah, so I managed to get this off. It was actually starting to go up, and I didn't realize that it was going to go up super high. So we went ahead and bought this, but this would normally be much cheaper than what we bought it for. That leads me to the RAM. We chose the 16 gigabyte, 2 sticks of 8 gigabytes of RAM. It's the ADATA XPG Z1, and the reason we chose this is because it was a really good price, and it looks really cool, and I didn't really have anything against that, good reviews and stuff, so I went ahead and went with it. That leads me to the case, and the case is actually going to be the Fara Silverstone Fara R1, and the reason I chose this case is because it was a good price. It does only have one case fan, which you can just go onto Amazon and get a cheap 3-pack of RGB fans and put them in the front, because it does have a mesh front, so you will be able to see through it. Another downside of this case is that it does not have a tempered glass panel, and it will only just be closed off, which does bring its benefits when building the actual PC itself. That being said, it is still good to have pretty good cord management, because you could get a tempered glass panel in the future. But that leads me to the TP Link. I chose this. Is not many people recommend getting a Wi-Fi card, but I just the PCI adapter. I just didn't really want to mess with Ethernet because I knew my friend wouldn't want to either, and the antennas that are used just don't look very good. And this one is good for its value. It does 300 megabits, and that is really good for what it does. For the storage, we chose two 250 gigabyte SSDs to make up 500 gigabytes, just because that was the bottleneck. It was going to be the short end. So without further ado, let's get right into the video. Okay, so go ahead and grab your motherboard and prep it for the operation itself. You're going to want to put it on top of the box itself, because that's just a really good spot. It's pretty static free. Go ahead and get your CPU stuff ready and stock cooler. You're going to want to remove the screws with these barriers here. You're going to take them off. You're going to remove the screws, take off the barriers so we can put the stock cooler on, but we're going to put the CPU on first. You're going to align the Ryzen logo with, I like to do it this way. I like to align it here and the Ryzen logo, but you can also just find the triangle and align them to the corners. Now you're going to push down and out on this little bar here so that you can release the module, the interlocking module. You're not going to press it down too much. You're just going to set it. It should pop right into place. and lower the bar back down for the socket. Now go ahead and grab your stock cooler. It already has thermal paste pre-applied. Do not touch the thermal paste because there is such a thing as thermal contaminants, and we don't really want the thermal paste getting contaminated or anything. So you're going to want to tighten the screws in a cross pattern so that the equal amount of weight is put on the CPU so that there's no damage done to it in the process of building this. Go ahead and grab your cable and attach it to the CPU fan socket right next to the top of the RAM slots, and then just tuck it in there. You can take off the RAM slots. Go ahead and stick your first RAM, aligning it correctly. I kind of missed this on camera, but you're gonna look for the slot and align it correctly with the slot. Go ahead and push down on it once it's aligned until you hear or see the snapping of the module. I'm just gonna go ahead and put the Wi-Fi card on there just because it's just easier to have it already on and I won't lose it or anything. But as always, this is a optional thing. You do not have to put on the Wi-Fi. You don't have to get a Wi-Fi card if you are going with a Ethernet cable. Next, you're going to go ahead and put your motherboard aside and you're going to grab your case. Be sure you have enough space for this because this is going to get space consuming pretty quick. Go ahead and remove the non-clear side panel on it so that you can get access to the inside where you will be building the computer. Go ahead and grab your UI shield and make sure you just know how to align it. I just put it next to the motherboard just to see, how you would put it. And then you push it in and it clicks. It should click. And take your motherboard and put in UI first and see if you can get a snap. Now you're going to grab your corresponding motherboard screws and you're going to use the already screwed in gold nuts to screw the motherboard down. There was space for more to be put down, but I decided that 4 was enough since it is a microform board. So, but there is a tool that you can use that came with the case itself that you can use to put more down, or if you're getting a slightly bigger motherboard, then that should help as well. Now you're going to go ahead and take that back fan for the case and stick it down the upper hole in the top corner, and then now we're gonna start taking off the screws. These first 2 are not pop outs, but the rest are, so just keep that in mind. These will be able to be taken in and out. Go ahead and take this front panel here off so that you can stick the Wi-Fi connector in and the graphics card itself, because this is a important thing to have. You just want to pull it out, go ahead and stick it in correctly, and there is a spot for having more than one screw there, but I just decided to only have one. So go ahead and put everything back onto there and make sure that it's oriented correctly so that you're going to be able to put things in it. So I just tipped it back up so that we could get to the back panel. The back panel is going to have our PSU. So go ahead and have your power supply with the fan angled down, and have the back of it facing here. Go ahead and find the corresponding screws to screw it into the back, and it's gonna look like it's upside down from when you're just looking at it right now, only because that's just how it's built for some reason. But it's supposed to be to where the fan is pointed at the bottom of the case and blowing through the bottom of the case. So we're gonna take off the SSD panel things here, and you're gonna screw the back. You're gonna screw 4 screws, corresponding screws to the back of these, and you're gonna slide them back in and screw them back on. Now you're gonna use this connector here, which is from the PSU, and then you're gonna take your SATA cable and you're gonna plug them into the back of there, and then you're just gonna make them look nice, because there is 2 SSD slots on the front and there's 2 on the back, but there's only 1 slider that came on the back. I found that it's actually hard to just have it already slid in, so I just went ahead and took them back out and put them back in. So you're gonna do the same for the back. Take one of the power connectors and put it in to the corresponding slot. Don't force it in. Try to find the right way, because they do have a kind of way that they're supposed to go in. But go ahead and stash all these cords that we're not going to be using into the back. Take the front UI cords that were already in the case and find their corresponding spots. So we're gonna fish the first thing we're gonna fish through is the USB, and that goes in first. Right now I'm just finding where they're supposed to go, but that is audio. The audio is going in through this back hole here, and it's gonna come through here, and it's gonna plug in right up here on the right below this graphics card. Make sure you find the corresponding hole for it. I chose to do it with the case oriented up, but this is obviously optional because you can access the back much easier. But so let's just get to this mess here. So I'm gonna start with the blue connector, which will be from the UI itself. You're gonna go ahead and put it in the correct way. Take the USB, plug it in right below that, right here. And I had a little bit of a struggle at this first because it was in a weird spot. I could have waited on the blue connector, but you can do it either way, just as long as they both get plugged in. Okay, so you're gonna grab this cable here and you're gonna plug it into the corresponding corner up here. Make sure that you have it correctly put in. This is from the UI itself. I found it hard to do that right there, but so next you're actually gonna go ahead and grab your CPU. It's gonna be marked CPU, and you're gonna fish it through the top corner hole, so that you can get it to the CPU without a looking seamlessly, and it won't look super janky in the process. Fish it through, and connect it to the 4-pin CPU connector up in the corner, and go ahead and get your 20-pin connector ready and get it ready to correspond correctly right there. You're gonna grab the 20-pin. I kind of bended the cables that are like coming straight out of it. I don't know if that's the best way to do it, but I don't recommend pressing too much on your motherboard, because it did start to flex a little bit, which is not good. But make sure that the 20-pin, the 24-pin connector is in, and go ahead and start plugging in your SATA cables that are connected from your SSDs and your HDD if you choose to have one. There are 4 slots on this motherboard, so it will allow 4 connections. So this next part is just me having a little bit of cord management done. You don't have to do too much. This is probably the worst cord management that anybody on watching this has ever seen, because this is my first time. But I didn't really care because there was no glass siding. But of course, you can also change that in the future. So go ahead and grab your PC, your 6-pin, 6 to 8-pin PCE connectors for the graphics card, so that you can have power to the graphics card. You're gonna see, if you can see the corresponding 6 pins up there, you're gonna make sure that the pins, the 8 pins that are on there are separated to where there's 6, and then there's just a hanging off 2-pin thing that's just going to hang off, and it's not really going to do anything. As you can see here, I'm having a little bit of a struggle pushing it through, just because this is actually built to have, the connector itself had 2 connections on it, and the second connection was getting stuck, and as you can see, I'm trying to fish it through. I ended up going ahead and using the second connection and pushing the first connection back. This didn't look as good, but I wasn't really going for looks. I was going for this thing actually working and doing a decent job at running. So once you've got that plugged in, we're gonna go ahead and do some more cable management for the time being. Now on to the fun part, switches. Make sure you align the power LED positive towards the back of the case, so oriented upright towards the back. You're going to have the minus there. You're going to do the same for the HDD LED, but it's going to be just in front of it. The power switch is going to go right next to the switch, and then the reset switch is going to go right next to the HDD. Again, orientation doesn't matter on those two. This is what the PC comes out to look like. I hope you guys enjoyed this build video, and leave a like if you guys liked the video, just to show you guys that this actually did work. As you probably can imagine, I was pretty excited when I first saw that it got turned on. As always, leave a like and subscribe, and I hope this video was helpful.